Hello and welcome to a new episode of our StableNet Snapshot series. My name is Hito Stose and I work for the Infosim Development Department. And today's topic is the basic discovery workflow in StableNet. And I'll be talking about this topic as StableNet 12 comes with various new features circling around the discovery workflow. I'll be talking part of these features and I'll be focusing on the StableNet web portal because all tools supporting you in the discovery workflow are now available in the web portal. For example, the job wizard is being added to the StableNet web portal in StableNet 12. But not only do we have now all GUI features for the discovery workflow in the portal, but also do we have the template editor in the web portal, which only exists in the StableNet web portal and which is a great help when working on discoveries and actually when working on arbitrary templates. So not too many people know this, and that's why this is a great opportunity to advertise also the StableNet template editor once more. So when it comes to discoveries, it will really make sense to use the web portal. And instead of presenting all the features that we have one by one, I'll tell you a little story and let you see the features in action. So let's say a colleague of mine has created a discovery for our virtual lab at Infosim. And so he has created an XML template and a discovery job. But after his tests, it turned out that the connectivity information he received is wrong. You can see that here we have neighborhood level 5, but when we click any of the devices, we don't see any links, no connectivity at all here. So, and he also had problems configuring the measurements correctly. I'll use the search functionality in the web portal, Control-Shift-F, and simply start typing. I go to the analyzer, and he wants to create syslog measurements for certain devices, only those devices which are configured appropriately. But you can see here that all these devices have this syslog failed logins measurement. I will come to that later on. So we have these two problems. Yeah, and okay, of course, he only wants to create measurements for those devices which are configured appropriately, obviously, because measurements cost money. We want to save money, so only create measurements for those devices which are configured appropriately. So let's fix that together. And first of all, let's delete what the colleague has done so far so that we can start with a clean system. So I simply delete all the devices. So now you probably know that every non-trivial discovery uses an XML template, but working with XML templates used to be a bit annoying in StableNet. You needed many extra tools. You needed the docs, sometimes the huge XML schemas, which are hard to read and understand, an external editor, in case you could not manage your editor to do auto-validation and auto-completion for you. It's even worse. And for every line you write, you would have to search the docs in various places in case you're not an expert. But the good news is things have changed. They really have. And we now have everything you need in one place, in the template editor in the StableNet portal. And this saves a lot of time, reduces error proneness, and also causes a lot of fun because you can relatively fluently write down templates in just one browser tab, even if you do not have so much experience with discoveries. So in case you've given up on working with XML templates yourself sometime in the past, I want to encourage you, give it another chance. The tools that we have that support you are really great. So now let's have a look at my colleague's template and open the template editor. We have a look at the discovery templates. So the first thing we might notice is that we have the complete history of this template here in the system. This is new, and this is possible because we have moved our discovery templates into the database. And you also see this wrench icon here for some of the template versions. The wrench means that these templates are in testing lifecycle. The idea behind life cycles is the following. The life cycle is either testing or production. And as long as you work on templates, they should have the lifecycle testing, which means the jobs will by default not use them. Only when you're sure that you have a good version, you should release. So I select one of the templates that is still in testing version. You can click release, and then a new version is created, and the jobs will by default use always the latest production template. So apparently my colleague thought a couple of times that he would have the perfect version and released templates only to recognize that they were still wrong. So the template editor itself also offers the tools that we need to make use of the history that we have stored. For example, I can have a look at version 4 and say, let's see the difference that has been come with version 5, and then we see the diff here. Of course, the life cycle has been changed, the version has been changed, and most of the things are the same. Here at the bottom, we have some more change, what has been added here. So we see the grace time and probe time has been added, and also some ranges have been added for a measurement. So this is something very useful when debugging, because when an error occurs, it will often be after updating the template, and then it makes sense to have a look at what changes have been made in the most recent template version. Okay, let's go and have a look at the template in the current form. So first of all, the colleague is a bit messy sometimes, so it's not easy to parse here, but that is no problem. It's just one click, and we can format the XML. Maybe I didn't hit the button. Okay, now it looks much better, and I can also enable line wrapping. So now we can start reading and understanding the templates. So first of all, I can now save the template. We haven't added any mistake with what we've done so far. So I click save, and now you see the production template is immutable. It has not been changed, but instead a new version has been created with the changes that I've just made. And this new version is in testing state, so testing lifecycle. So there are no changes regarding the jobs that are running with the templates, because they usually will use the latest production template. So now let's have a look at the template itself. He starts with specifying the devices he wants to discover. And he starts with a data source, which is a data template in this case. This is basically a CSV file, but it's not stored directly in the file system, but in the database. And for that reason, we also have versioning. We have the complete history of these templates, and we have life cycles here, which is also new in StableNet 12, and which is the same as for XML templates. So now let's have a look at the data template. It's that one over here. I've had a look at it before, so I can briefly tell you what it contains, what the colleague has done here. We have IP and name information that are things StableNet knows to handle out of the box. Then we have a column MPLS and city. This is for tag information. Then we have more information that StableNet can handle out of the box, like coordinates, SNMP version, and so on. I want to emphasize one more column, which is this one. We want to add syslog measurements as I have already mentioned, but not for all devices, because not all devices are configured to send appropriate syslogs. So here it is specified for which devices we want to have syslog measurements and for which we don't want to have that. Okay, that's all about the data template. Let's go back to the discovery template, our version here. Yeah, let's study it a bit more. We have some tags that are added. The respective columns are specified here. And then we have a syslog measurement that, yeah, I don't go into the details. The syslog measurement measures how many failed logins have occurred in the last period of time. And we don't use the default monitor here, but a separate monitor with certain severities, or the monitor raises alarms of certain severities depending on the number of failed logins. So the motivation is clear. In case there are hundreds of failed logins in a couple of minutes, then this is obviously something I'd like to know. Okay, now we have two problems to solve. First, the missing connectivity data, and second, the measurements that are created for all devices and not only for the devices specified in the data template. Let's start with the first. Now, I know that in our VLab, we have configured LLDP, Link Layer Discovery Protocol, and there is a property, the discovery property in StableNet. And let's check whether this is set correctly. We have the properties editor here, which is basically a graphical user interface where you can handle all the properties. So in my opinion, this is a big win because you don't have to look up the precise syntax all the time. But you can add further properties here. Lots of properties have already been added, and you can work with them per drag and drop, or you can click around and change things. And now let's have a look at the LLDP property that I've mentioned. Discover layer 2, read LLDP data, and the value is false. Okay, this might be the reason. We should enable this and say it's true and apply. And well, we can save. Now, a second issue. Let's also target this issue. We have, we add measurements for all devices, as you see here. But what we only want to add the measurements for those devices which have the entry yes in the column syslog. So we need some filter operation. And now if I start typing filter, it must be somewhere around the device tag. So here no auto completion suggestion occurs, so it doesn't fit in here. And I also get an error message saying, okay, the tag fill doesn't have proper closing. So it's actually difficult to make mistakes syntactically. So this is not the place where we can add a filter. So maybe below. And here we have indeed a filter tag. So now the editor immediately adds 2 attributes. The reason for that is that these attributes are mandatory. So I need to specify them. So it's fine that the editor adds them for me. And now I don't know the precise syntax. I don't know everything I can do with the filter tag. So I need the docs. And the good thing is now we have the docs right here in place. I can open the XSD browser via this button, or alternatively use the shortcut Control-Shift-I. And this is the XSD browser where you can search for arbitrary tags or attributes. You can browse through them. Here I have the filter attribute, the filter tag opened because I opened the XSD browser with the shortcut. I get the information about the filter element, what it is for here. So it's used to narrow down the devices that are created or deleted. That's fine. A device is only added if all filters in the current device block match. Okay, so I can add more than one filter. That's also fine. And here I get all the children, which are none possible here. And I can add attributes here. So some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional. So let's have a look at what we can do with the name property. The name attribute references the name of the property to be filtered on. This can either be a column from the used data source, which is great. So I can stop reading here actually, because I have a column in my data source, in my data template. And so I simply need to specify this column. Its name was syslog. And now the value should be simply yes, the filter string, which has to be a valid Java regular expression. Okay, it's yes. That's very simple. Yes is a Java regular expression that matches yes. So that's fine. Okay, so now I would only add the devices which are supposed to have syslog measurements, which I also don't want. I also want to discover all the other devices. I want to add tags to them. I want to add the default measurements for them. So I simply copy the device block, add it a second time. But for the other device now, I don't want to have the syslog measurement. So I remove that. And I have to adapt the filter. And we can have a look how we can add a negation here. Let's have a look at the attributes. Well, inverted actually sounds promising. If the inverted attribute is true, a device matches the filter if the filter value does not match. So that's precisely what we want. So I say inverted, sorry, to add it to the filter, not to the device block, inverted true. Okay, and that should be it. Let's format it again and save it. So again, the XSD browser is a great help in my opinion as well. As you've seen, you do not have to know a lot about discovery templates. It's often rather about common sense and a little bit of guessing and what the right syntax might be, and all the details are answered by the XSD browser, which is really nice in my opinion. So now let's test the template. So let's have a look at the discovery jobs. The colleague of mine has already added or created a test job, which makes sense. Usually in a real use case, we would only test the discovery with some test devices and not for all. In my case, I'm doing it for all. So the schedule settings, active is disabled. This is fine because I only want to start the job manually, and I have to specify the discovery template, which is now the testing version 13. And now I can modify the job and click start, and then we'll see what happens. So we can also watch the job working by clicking analyze. And here we get the logs, which we have extended quite a lot. There will be another snapshot webinar about that, about the discovery audit logging. And we are currently working on updating or refreshing this page whenever a job is running automatically until it is finished, which will hopefully be in a couple of seconds. Okay, now it's done. So we have added 19 devices. We don't have any obvious problems. Lots of measurements and monitors have been added. We can study the details, what has been done here. And now let's have a look at the devices. So first of all, regarding the measurements, the analyzer and the default measurement tree, we see that the access router here has a syslog measurement, but for example, the customer premise equipment, there we don't have configured the syslogs appropriately, and we don't have created a measurement, a syslog measurement here. So this is fine. Then let's jump over to the device dashboard and select some device. Let's have a look at the tags. These are set as well, fine. And regarding the neighborhood, this is now, of course, important. So we see here are some links. That's great because we didn't have any before. If we increase the neighborhood level, we see the complete network. So we have 3 core routers in the middle. Here's one, here's another one, here's another one, then a transit router, access router, customer edge routers, and customer premise equipment, 2 distribution routers, and more customer side equipment. This is our network. Okay, it seems to be all fine. So now it makes sense to release the template. So let's again go back to the discovery templates in the template editor, and we can click release. And now we can also create a productive discovery job. As I've already said, the discovery job wizard is also new in the StableNet portal. So let's call this Discover VLab Juniper. And regarding the schedule settings, it makes sense to schedule this now at least daily, because if the connectivity changes, I want to have this information in my system. So this seems to be fine. I use the default agent and always the latest production version. Now I can create the job and it will be executed as specified. All right, this is all I wanted to show. This is the basic discovery workflow in StableNet. And well, the two main points that I wanted to make are, at first, from StableNet 12 on, we have everything, all tools that support you in the discovery workflow in the StableNet portal, so you can use it there. And I hope you share my opinion that the template editor is a real game changer for working with XML templates. Thank you.